I'm going to come back to this later on as well. But what I would say is no matter what you think, if you think the market's going to go up and it comes down a little bit, a lot of times the super aggressive people get jittery and then move to cash. And the people that think that the market is going to go down just have a natural inclination to go to cash. And it's kind of the easiest thing to do. So, I mean, think about the decision to move some of your money to cash or more conservative, right? You wake up, the market's a little bit shaky, something happens that makes you uncomfortable. Powell, the chairman of the Fed, says something, who knows what happens? And you'll go, okay, I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to pull my money out. I've made a lot over the last couple of years. This is a great decision. You go home and you tell your spouse how smart you are, and everyone sleeps like a baby, for 3 days. And then 6 months later, the market's up 7%. And you go, ooh, well, I missed that 7%. But if I went into cash 7% ago, and I was uncomfortable then, I certainly can't be comfortable with these new elevated multiples. So you stay in cash for a little bit longer. Market goes up a little bit more and you say, oh, if I was uncomfortable 10% ago, I definitely can't invest today. And so getting out of the market is the easiest decision you'll ever make. Getting into the market is torture. You're either buying at a higher valuation than you sold at, and now you hate yourself, or it's a big recession, even though that's what you've been waiting for, but now you're uncomfortable and you've got to try and pour all of your money in when the world seems to be falling apart, and that is a torturous decision. So I would say in my entire career, I literally don't think I've ever seen anyone pull their money out at this amazing time and then put it back in at an even more amazing time. It almost never happens. The closest example I have is in my first year in the business in 1999, a guy took out a bunch of money from his 401k and bought a boat. And I said, that is an atrocious financial decision. Of course, when you take the money out, you sell everything. Well, in 1999, the market was very high, right? In 2000, the tech bubble burst. In 2001, September 11th happened, and the guy had a 3-year payback period. So he had basically sold at a super high rate, the market. And then when he was putting money back in over the next 3 years, he was buying at, discounts of 20 to 40%. And to this day, he's never let me forget about it. So even though it was on accident, because he really wanted a boat, he didn't really think the market was high. That's the only time I can ever think of in my career where it really, really worked out. In this time, what I think is to even further illustrate that point, in this time, this is over a 20-year period of time. Had you been fully invested in the market, from 99 to 19, your $10,000 investment would have made $32,000. Now, in that 20 years, there's about 5,000 trading days. 5,036. I'm going to look down, and be so rude just to look down and check my notes. 5,036 trading days in that amount of time. If you missed 10, not 10%, 10 trading days, you would have lost half of your profit. So even for someone who can sell at a pretty good time and buy in at a pretty good time, if that causes you to miss some of these big days, you're still going to get killed. So what I would encourage you is that and that's why we're doing this webinar now, because we've started to see some people suggesting moving to cash or doing other things. And I think it's probably one of the biggest mistakes you could ever make. Now watch, the market's going to crash tomorrow. But I think what this illustrates is if you miss even a couple, if you miss the top 20 days out of 5,000, right? Out of 5,000, right? The top 20 days. So less than 1% of the days, you didn't make anything, right? Your $10,000 turned into 10,200, and that's after 20 years of inflation, albeit low, some. So you actually lost money over those 20 years if you just missed the 20 biggest trading days. So my perspective is, if you're worried about the market, which I think a lot of people are, quite frankly, I personally am, going to cash is a mistake. And we're going to come back to this a couple of different times. So going to cash is a mistake. What do we do? We're going to discuss 3 strategies. Strategy number 1 is rebalancing. Strategy number 2 is adaptive risk. And strategy number 3